And greetings, everyone. It's Angelo Robles. In 10 years, some of you will be far richer and some quietly poorer. Well, hate to start off on such a, depending on your perspective, which camp you'll be in, either a very cheery mood or a little subtly dreary. For those of you that are live, it's Angelo Robles. It's a Saturday, late morning, 11:30. We're not officially the summer yet. That is upcoming this week, but unofficially, it sure feels and looks that way as I'm looking outside. Just got back from travel into the Rockies, mainly Denver. Had a wonderful time. Met some incredible people, family offices. Very worthwhile. It's good to be a little bit back in the saddle. I've not done at least a solo in a while, so I look forward to it. I've been preparing today because at one of the programs that I spoke at, a wonderful program called Keiretsu, run by Nathan McDonald and his amazing team, I gave a variation of this presentation, but on the plane back, I think I actually made it better. So this is going to be a visual PowerPoint type structure. I know I've been doing a little more of those lately. Give me feedback whether some of you like that. And without much further ado, let me pull it up to the stage, expand my screen. If you could all let me know that you could see it, that would be awesome. I have my beverage of choice. You may have to guess what that is. And without further ado, the repricing AI capital in the family office. Now, I do have to start on somewhat the dreary note of a disclaimer. Everyone is unique in their situation, their risk tolerance, their liquidity, their capital, their experiences, their goals. When you invest, you can lose money. In theory, you could lose all your money. I don't have a crystal ball. At the end of the day, do your own diligence. Now, as I hinted in my title, at least as I went live, some of you will be actually far richer in 10 years because of what's happening right now. And some of you will be quietly poorer. What could have been? Inflation. There's a variety of things that could go wrong where you're quietly poorer and not know until after it's done. The difference isn't necessarily your assets. It's whether, from my world, your family office can actually move. Now, the cost of intelligence, we know, all of you, is collapsing to zero. Everything priced on its scarcity gets repriced with it, as it says there on the screen, including you. I really enjoyed Jensen Huang of NVIDIA. He usually does a couple of interviews every week. I think he's very insightful. A couple of weeks back, he came up with his kind of 5-layered cake of the stack within AI to be investing. I believe in having exposure to all 5, but I do think there are times within the subsectors of AI where you do need to be a little bit tactical, and the trends are starting to lean towards applications, which has not been the case. A lot of my capital relative to AI has been what I would call more in the picks and shovels, which I still believe in. I'm just making some modest adaptations, all things that we're going to go through today. The bottom floors don't get bought per se. They really get owned. And to me, everything above it is renting. And yes, someone is asking, like, Angelo, is the Fable 5 and that fiasco with the US government part of the presentation? It is, not just because you're asking. I spoke about it in Denver, and although I didn't check today's news, maybe something happened over the weekend, but it really hasn't changed much in about a week. We'll get to that. Relax. The money gap, the money is real, but so is the gap. So CapEx, from what last year, an incredible 410 billion, projected at 725 billion this year. The spend is here now. It's projected. What's wrong with me this Saturday morning? To increase well above $1 trillion within a couple of years. And the revenue, admittingly, is somewhat a bet on later. What I call who governs the agents, and I mentioned Jensen Huang earlier, this isn't just apps, and we're going to get to billions of agents being out there. But discussing that and the application layers, and I'm going to mix up some private and public companies here. So Service Now, their symbol now, NOW. The AI control lower with Now Assist. I mean, look at the numbers, 750 million ACV, tracking to like double that, basically 1.5, and somewhat endorsed by Jensen. Marvell would be another stock public company also endorsed, which is no guarantee, but maybe not a bad direction, by Jensen. Palantir, I know, a sensitive company to some of you, crushed it last year, not as much this year, but some interesting mechanics there that I think I find interesting, and others that I know, some of you, Angelo, your hedge fund poker buddies in Greenwich, Connecticut. Yes, I don't want to mention names, and some things they do in their fund are going to be more towards institutional investors and not as much things that they really may have personally a high conviction, but for a variety of reasons. But I absolutely think Palantir is intriguing. Now, in some of the more privates play, a bridge, kind of leading clinical AI, and Glean, the enterprise control layer, scaling greatly, probably 300 million when you look at the numbers. So we're not going to have time to go really deeply into all these individually. At the end of the day, it sparks interest. You do your own work, your own diligence. And again, when you invest, you could absolutely lose money. But I'm telling you, what I think, and I'm immersed in this 24/7, some far smarter people than me, not only in Greenwich, Connecticut, and hedge fund managers, and others very active in Silicon Valley and around the world. And we're going to get to all of this. This is going to be a relatively pretty encompassing conversation, presentation, and a lot of what you know on investing. I'm a 60-year-old. I understand what we learned in school on Wall Street. I think a lot of that is being flipped. And we'll give some context around that. It's coming. Well, not a bad transition. The market may be pricing a smooth boom, but the physical world, and this is going to take physical data centers, commodities, all that goes into it, probably has a different plan. There's no question this is not going to be a smooth ride. Half the S&P 500 turns over every decade. And that forecast, which has been 100% correct, was made before AI. In other words, in 2036, the S&P is going to look very different, and not just by 50%. No way. My friend and well-known macro conversationalist, thought leader, active in AI, who's been on my program several times, Jordy Fisher, had a far more stark comment that I'm not quite willing to make, implying that within 5 years, there may be a complete turnover. Maybe I don't have the guts to make that conviction, but directionally, timelines we could debate. Directionally, it's correct. Everything that you know is changing. And not that long ago, SpaceX, what, a week and a half ago, goes public at about 2 trillion. I know the number's different now. I'm just saying at the time of the IPO, 2 trillion. And now what, by market cap, would a notch or two more than that, probably about the 5th or 6th largest market cap in the world. Incredible. We're going to get to more of that. Anthropic, ballpark, projected to be about 1 trillion. OpenAI, a notch less than that, but we'll see. Like, this is an incredible time. You cannot be ignoring this. And the number of millionaires, and probably mainly Centa millionaires created with the SpaceX IPO, was probably greater in a one-day period than any other time in history. And oh, the potential for the new breed of the digital, more AI native family office with a more tech-savvy crowd from 50 to $50 million to $500 million could be a good time for me. You need that family office created, you know who to come to. Well, there's new math all over. A rocket company, SpaceX, just paid $60 billion for a company with under 50 people. Cursor. Look at their revenue model in only 3 years. Incredible. And even going back to what I mentioned with Anthropic, under their valuation with under 5,000 employees equates to about 193 million, like, market cap per employee. We are in incredible times. I know some of you more classically trained, this is a bubble. Short term, there's elements of that you may state that might be right. There's going to be volatility, I'm sure, with SpaceX and other companies. But in the end, tech always wins. Yes, these times are different. We're living through an incredible time. And you're either going to look at it over the next 5 or 10 years and significantly amplify your wealth, or possibly quietly, maybe that's nice, as I hinted in my open, effectively miss out on tremendous opportunity and have your purchasing power gravely eroded because you sat back. Arrogance, ego, fear, resistance. When you reach a certain age and you've had a level of success, you rather be right than make money. That's bad. You would rather be right than make money. You need to get over that. Now, what I call own the floor, when intelligence is free, the value isn't like what it can't manufacture. 4 billion is what NVIDIA spent to lock up material moats that many in this room, as I said, in Denver, never heard of. I think physical inputs, copper, definitely silver, and indium phosphate, AXTI, very intriguing. The power infrastructure, GE Vernova, Bloom Energy, build out and interconnect, Sterling Infrastructure, Caterpillar, Vertiv, Marvel, who I mentioned earlier, Corning, Coherent, Lumiton. Compute platforms, NVIDIA, definitely SpaceX, Tesla, We'll see about that merger. Probably that's going to happen. All things we're going to get to. What you don't own is rented compute. So these are examples. Like, you all know the Mag 7. I wanted to mention some companies that may be a little more under your radar. And when you're looking at something like data centers, understand who's building them, what is inside them. Are you familiar with, I didn't mention AEHR, may have that one a little off, but photonics. Like these are where there's some tremendous opportunities. Now we're going a little back and forth to picks and shovels, energy plays, all the way up through, and I guess I skipped out on chips and some others in the 5-layer cake, but to applications. I do want to spend a little time on SpaceX. It's obviously big news, and I haven't done a live in what feels to be like 2 weeks. So maybe I have a lot to say. With SpaceX, how could you not see that you are buying a stake in the future economy? It's far more than just a space or tech company. It is really 3 divergent businesses into one. I'm not the only one saying this. I understand that. The launch monopoly, for sure, dominating orbital access with proprietary reusability. Starlink is definitely a cash machine, generating predictable high margin global connectivity revenue. And like the Frontier AI Lab, scaling advanced autonomy and robotics for space and terrestrial applications. And then what happens when, likely, look at the poly markets, they eventually merge with Tesla? And what Tesla's doing in energy, in driverless cars, upcoming quote unquote cabs, and robotics. Like, is this a once in a lifetime opportunity? Is it going to be volatile? Sure, the next couple of weeks and months. I look at it over a year, 3 years, 5 years, especially 10 years, and I have no guarantees. Maybe something happens to Elon that would drastically make it go down. But like Steve Jobs and Tim Cook, maybe the upcoming person's incredible. I don't know, even if not the innovator. We're going to have some interesting guests, some that may have similar feelings, others not. And I want that convergent or divergent perspective. And we're going to get to some of the metrics that, again, I hinted at that you're so used to, where this is different. I don't even understand really the growth in value stock perspective. I get it. I guess I want to buy at a better price, but you're looking at old metrics that worked in the past. Do you think that when radios came out, that math always made sense? And I know I'm going way back on this one to the mid 1800s, railroads. The metrics on that didn't make sense either. I'm buying an equity in this example, a public company, because I believe it's going to go up in value. As simple as that. There's no rolling back what we're seeing happening now. In the end, tech always wins. We're in an incredible period. I know the math for some of this is different than what we're used to, including at my age for me. But look back at history at some of the things that I noted. I'm not saying it's going to repeat. It's probably going to rhyme. And what we're seeing now with AI, with intelligence that will inevitably be greater than human, recursive self-learning, there's never been a time like this. Never. I said this earlier, as I'm going to take a sip. I think it needs repeating. Stop feeling that you need to be right. What you need to do is make money. What wrecks the pros isn't being wrong. It's their perspective of they need to be right. Look at where the scarcity is. When intelligence becomes abundant, value moves to what it can't create. Pretty obvious. I mentioned energy and investments in energy, hard assets. I'm going to throw Bitcoin in here. Well, maybe that one says it all. Abundant intelligence can make almost anything. It cannot make the 21,000,001 Bitcoin. It's immutable. Some of you are going to push back on that. It's a scarce asset because 21 million is it. Now, we're going to get a little bit into if there's billions of AI agents running around out there, they'll need money that no bank can hold for them. Now, we're going to get a little more into stable coins and tokenization. This all plays into the big thesis. And VCs, oh boy, everything is changing for them. You're stuck in models and ways of investing that have worked in the past. GPLP, I'm an LP, of real estate, of private equity, of VC. And don't you see the opportunities happening now? I could be a solo entrepreneur, and with AI and AI agents, I'm creating companies that require less capital. I don't need input from often people that often don't know. And liquidity has often been a big challenge in private companies, and many of you active as VC allocators. Tokenization is going to have a drastic impact, and that is coming. It's all at our doorstep right now. Therefore, with declining populations, with everything evolving, with the Midjourney founder saying in 15 years, we could create a Manhattan anywhere in the world in 6 months, when the cost of energy, mainly through fusion, in time goes near zero, and robotics brings labor cost to effectively zero. What do you think is going to happen to your real estate in 10 or 15 years? When venture capital and earlier stage investing is changing right before our eyes for the reasons that I laid out here, and even private equity. And have these done so great in the last year or two? Not to be so short-sighted and mark to market, all that plays into it. I get it. And come on, I've been in the single family office community among billionaires for decades. I'm just saying things are happening very, very quickly. Am I a little too future forward thinking? Are my timelines a little too soon? Debatable. You might be right. But are you arguing with me on the direction of this? I'm 100% correct. Now, I mentioned, and I'm doing things like this. I'm a 60-year-old male with no tech background. One person and a fleet of AI agents now builds what took 100 or hundreds of people and a war chest. This is an amazing time to be an entrepreneur. And yet many of you, and your young ones, that many of you have children, you think their 4, 6, 8-year degree is going to be their most valuable resource moving forward during their prime years of 18 to 24 to 26 to 28. This is the time where they should be understanding entrepreneurship, technology, AI agents, and build, create. AI is now improving AI, recursive learning. That is also not going to go backwards. The thing that builds intelligence is getting better at building intelligence and then doing it again. And we're early with this. Early. What's going to happen in the next year, 2 years, 3 years? The metrics that we look from Moore's law to what was it, Metcalfe's law, like those, that's going to be exploded by AI improving AI, aka recursive learning. Okay, this is a little bit of hyperbole at the moment, but let's run with it. And what I just mentioned, I mention here. So it's actually Reed's law, not Moore's, not Metcalfe's, that is going to define what we're seeing in AI and recursive learning, and exponential by a factor that many of you can't understand. You have Ray Kurzweil saying we're going to hit what we deem to be really true AGI by 2029. We may be rolling back the clock in our biological age within 10 years. And you think the S&P 500 that you're currently invested in antiquated businesses is going to be the way to go? Now, is the S&P going to evolve to reflect the changes? I guess so. I just don't know if it's going to be the best way for many of you to participate. And what happens when those moats just dissolve? They're destroyed by small teams and millions to billions of AI agents. So yeah, billions of Einsteins running around right now, or me controlling them, is somewhat hyperbole. IQ is a limited form of a metric of intelligence, but an important one. So right now, we'll get to Fable 5, probably about 140 at the highest levels. Einstein was about 160. By the way, a human moron is considered a moron at 80. It's about a 2.4 multiple comparative to Einstein. What's going to happen in 6 months or a year? Oh, and by the way, on multiple other topics, other than, I get it, creative thinking and physics, AI is already going to be better. And Einstein slept like 11, 12 hours a day. This thing doesn't sleep. It's 168 hours a week. And it's getting there. What happens when it's there? And even right now, if it's 80% there, and you have this at your fingertips, yet many of you only know one model like ChatGPT, only know how to put in a sentence and use it effectively as a quasi-glorified search engine. You don't know how to master how to use it to truly chat, to which program to use, to have them fight each other to get the best answer, and more importantly, going from chat to actually doing things, which you should have been doing a year to a year and a half ago. Get your mindset right and compound your capability and your skill. But still isn't too late. We're going to get to more of that at the end of the presentation. Like building upon that prior screen, kind of the new unit of work. The traditional, where 99.9% of you, capability added one person at a time. It's linear, it's slow, it's expensive to scale. Everything is changing to the emerging paradigm with the agent first. One operator basically builds, creates, in the better word, orchestrates, along with people, but a team of agents. Scalable and low-cost execution. And the capability is decoupled from the headcount. Now, I promised that I would lightly come back to this earlier. GDP measures output. AI produces leverage. The gauge, the metrics that you used in the past cannot tell the difference. The instruments really are from like 1934. GDP doesn't measure everything that matters. It's a metric from more so the Industrial Revolution. It can't handle intangibles and what's going on at the moment in AI. The gauge can't see the thing. And that frame is from, also, completely agree, the before mentioned Jordy Fisher. The gauge is built for in other words, the industrial economy cannot price an intelligent economy. That's why your thinking, your past successes, the metrics that you're used to, you are going to be blown away, steamrolled, left in the dust. And I mentioned this earlier. We're the rise of billions of autonomous AI agents. And what's going to happen with robotics as the years play out? Now, these AI agents, they don't borrow for a car loan, buy a home. Oh, they consume compute, memory, and data. And yet, what are you investing in? I mentioned real estate earlier. Oh, you love lending and private lending. That's really a really good idea. And you don't think you're going to get returns even in Bitcoin that I mentioned earlier with zero hassle that are going to be able to, can't you see this? Even if I'm a little early, fine. Machine money doesn't wait. Crypto really will be the rail for these agents. Human money, constrained by legacy banking hours, defined by T+2 settlement, and vulnerable to wire delays. I know it's happened to me over 30 years. Agent money is going to be powered by stable coins, providing 24/7 operational availability, enabling instant and effectively final settlement. Now, I did want to talk about this because this is, as I mentioned with Fable 5 and Anthropic, this is going to play into this. This is very important, and we're practically none of you, sadly, really know what's going on here. Open weight. So many of you use an OpenAI, an Anthropic, a Gemini, a Grok. Those are massive frontier models. You don't own them. You don't control them. You effectively rent their knowledge. And governments, including the US government, has no control over that. Oh, we're going to get to Bernie Sanders and Trump. We're going to get to Fable 5. You are foolish if you don't think that's the trend where it's headed. And the US government already proved that they could effectively tell Anthropic what to do. Open weight are models if you have the right hardware. You got to spend some money. Doesn't need to be a huge amount. And yeah, sadly now with most Apple products, you're going to have to be very patient because they can't keep up. You learn how to use Olama and Hugging Face. I could do it. You could do it. You download the open weights on these open weight models that are not controlled and in the cloud of another company. You own your gold, don't you? So don't you see the value of owning the intelligence in open weight models? Is it a little more work for you to set up? Sure. The hardware? Sure. Oh, and by the way, those of you that use frontier models that vibe code and build apps and do expansive things with that and sometimes have it run 24/7, oh, that could cost a lot of money. Open weight models, other than the hardware you have to buy, the right computers, and yes, some level of, I guess, energy consumption, are effectively free, assuming you're not in an API tie-in. So there are some nuances there, but effectively free. Open weight AI is coming for Frontier, as it says there in my title. It's free, nearly as good. We're going to get to that. And you own it. You own it. The model is free. The compute is a commodity. The lab's margin is the thing effectively being repriced. You become dependent on these frontier models. I like them too. I'm a highest level, I think, subscriber to all the core ones, probably too much so. And for really hardcore deep reasoning, and I love the Anthropic full suite. I use all of it. I also have great hardware, multiple open weight models, my real private shit that I don't want to share theoretically to the cloud, get vendor locked, have the government, poof, basically say it's done. I want that control. As a family office, doesn't your sovereignty, your liberty, doesn't that matter to you? So sure, I integrate. I use both, but I'm starting more and more. And I want even more hardware. I want to own my competitive moat. And now with this GLM 5.2, have you heard about this? This open weight model is almost as good as the best frontier. It's from China. They're more advanced than what we're doing here in the US and the West on open weight. Although we're getting a little better with NVIDIA, Gemma from Google, and some of the other models out there. Now, again, as long as you're not using the Chinese API or using anything in the cloud, you're downloading properly the open weight models, you're good, you're safe. You don't have to touch the cloud. You're not bleeding your IP. Now, none of you are going to have the computer horsepower to run the full GLM 5.2. It'll be a pretty good penny for that hardware. But there's ways to shrink the model to be able to run it on Mac Studio and other platforms that you got. And even DeepSeek, I mentioned it before, NVIDIA, what they came out, Quen and others have very, very good models that you don't need the deepest reasoning on. You need it maybe more for execution, for institutional memory. And that's going to be more than good enough. And inevitably, these open weight models will catch up, it appears, to Frontier. Debatable. Some may argue that. It's coming. Now, this was meant for a room of larger VCs and companies. It absolutely still applies to family offices and entities. Why companies, enterprises, family offices aren't adapting AI as they should? Age, bias, resistance, fear. Those are all normal human emotions. Now, they should understand open weight models. They're likely using Frontier and bad ones like the one that Microsoft gives them an entry point into with Copilot. So cost, if your team doesn't know what they're doing and it's running 24/7, could spiral out of control. So sure, the cost in not understanding open weight models play into it. Company bloat. Your company, your family office is likely has bottlenecks, bureaucracy, layers, and let's just be blunt about it. That last bullet point. Your people not only are probably older, resistant, fearful, not open-minded, they don't want it to succeed. I don't know how I could say that any nicer, so I'm not. I like to say it as I see it, even when as I see it, I'm definitely wrong, my fair share. I'm not here to kiss butt. I'm not the nicest person in the family office world. I just tell it as I see it from my perspective, and this is a reality. I don't want you as an employee or an executive in a family office to ever feel this way. I want you to be incredibly AI savvy, where me as a 60-year-old with no tech background, if I could do it, you could do it. And I could teach you how to do it. We're going to get to that a little bit later. I put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into this. I made every mistake you could make. But I developed the mindset and I compound my capabilities to make it easier. Even when I was creating my first apps October of last year, 8-9 months ago, it's much easier now. But learning while it's harder, getting the mindset, compounding the knowledge absolutely has value. Okay, we're a little off topic here, but let me run with it. You see the Argentinian flag? No, this is not relating to Messi in soccer, although it could. We're in the midst of the World Cup. If you're watching this live or in a couple of weeks, I guess that will still be the case. Let me comment what I'm going to comment on, if you're okay, if I could have one more sip. Malay and Argentina are doing very interesting things. Many of you have heard that Peter Thiel now has another residency, I believe, there. I'm assuming he's probably pretty close with Malay, whispering in his ear. They're basically, unlike the direction the US government is heading towards, they appear to be being like, bring your company here. We won't regulate. We want entrepreneurs. And they have something. Is this a little bit like when the LLC was created, theoretically, I guess, by the Dutch many hundreds of years ago, or what we know is the current modern in the US LLC, a non-human corporation. Oh, so you're AI agents. And this won't apply to US citizens because our IRS follows us everywhere. But for practically anyone else in the world that gets more tax arbitrage where they earn their money versus where they live, etc., it's a low tax environment. Malay is very libertarian. If you're a wild-eyed entrepreneur, maybe especially non-US, interesting. Now, what happens when Malay is no longer there? Argentina, for about 100 years, has had a horrific record of socialism. Governments, in the end, this is not perfectly true, it's close enough directionally true, effectively create nothing. Nothing. They take, they tax. And maybe I want safe borders, strong military, light regulation, law and order. That's what I want the government to provide. And sadly, although once one of the greatest economies ever, about 100 years ago, Argentina has not proven that much over the last 100 years with their rise of socialism and communism until Malay came along. But what's going to follow? So I don't quite know if I trust it, but conceptually it's interesting. Oh, the state wants in. The state on AI. You heard about Bernie Sanders. He's a communist. He went to the then USSR in the late 80s and solidified his thoughts around basically the state should own the means of production. What did I say earlier? They create nothing. Entrepreneurs create companies. They take the risk. They build companies, employ people, support communities, are often philanthropic, pay their taxes, and yet you want to push them out. You want the government to take, which they do a very, very good job of, and they become bloated and bureaucratic. Bernie Sanders basically, effectively, wants to take half of these AI companies. And I don't know if what Trump is talking about is that much better. Now, okay, maybe the US prints money, poof, invest at market value in these frontier labs or some other sort of alignment. They're different. It's a little softer. It's not quite as blunt as we take. But effectively, the outcome, that road, leads in the same direction. Today is not the discussion for UBI, the future of AI and jobs in 3 to 5 years, all grave and fair concerns, where I have more questions than answers. Maybe, to some degree, what Trump is proposing or has been hinted at is partially the right direction. I don't know. But with me being a hardcore libertarian who values freedom above even money, above all else, I don't like the fact that there's incredible entrepreneurs starting companies, taking the risk, raising capital, overcoming the odds, paying their taxes along the way, and then government that can't create shit, nothing, especially lately over decades, nothing comes and takes it. This is a far, far deeper discussion that we don't have time for today, but I did want to bring it up. I mentioned I would come back to, again, about the same time as SpaceX, right? What was it, last Wednesday or so? Anthropic's Fable 5, after not even 3 full days, effectively gets recalled. I used it. Oh my God. It was great. Maybe it'll be resolved in a day, a week, a month. The other aspects of the AI world, OpenAI, what's going on in China, they're not going to stop. They're eventually going to catch up to this. Anthropic is a wonderful company. I have some questions about Amodi, the leader, from a variety of different perspectives, but I can't deny it's a powerful, sweet, and frontier model. And Fable 5 was awesome. Now, I'm going to skip over some of the details. Within Amazon, they discovered a possible jailbreak. They reported it to the government. Supposedly, the government reached out to Anthropic, didn't get a quick enough reply, and henceforth said, now, no foreign nationals can use either Mythos or Fable 5, which effectively now, because 70% of their employees are probably foreign nationals and they don't know what the users are, they effectively had to just stop it. But Anthropic is in discussions to start to understand, almost like a KYC, who the actual users might be. Oh, we're losing more and more of our privacy eventually when that comes out. Now, again, did the US government technically tell them you're taking it off the market? Theoretically, no, but they effectively did the same thing. So now we're seeing the alignment of government within effectively these big AI, these frontier AIs. And once they get their claws in, a little bit like the tax in 1913, one time, a modest amount, bullshit. Once that happens, it's kind of game over, at least from the perspective as I'm thinking about it. This goes back to, what did I say? Do I enjoy the best of the frontier? Yes. Is Anthropic a great suite of overall products, including Claude Code and Cowork? Incredible. Do I use it? Yes. And I use more and more owning my own hardware, open weight models, and definitely execution more and more with my OpenClaw and Hermes. Not the time for that discussion today. With open weight models. And with that GLM 5.2, although it's a monster and my computers can't download it, the fact that in theory, if I had the horsepower, I could, and it may be 97% as good as the best frontier, and I don't pay a penny after that, I may want to go out and buy the right hardware. And that's going to get easier and easier to put on computers, my hardware. Now that's evolving. Because I don't like this about the US government, about Anthropic, about this Fable 5. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, you shouldn't like this either. This should concern you. Now, the new money will retire the old family office. I hinted at this way back. The SpaceX, Anthropic, and other employees coming into a pile of money. SpaceX, Anthropic, OpenAI, and others driving multi-trillions of value in listings is going to be minting incredibly wealthy people that are going to be more tech and AI native and savvy, creating family offices moving forward. If you're a more antiquated generational family or family office and you're not adapting to this, you're not becoming more AI native, decision, speed, people, clarity, adaptability, capability, all things for decades. Decades I've been pounding into family offices about. This has now gotten easier when it's more AI native. So if you're watching this live, boy, your time is running out on the next one. And we are great. I'm effectively at capacity. June 23rd and 24th in New York is my AI Family Office Masterclass. I got the greatest instructors. I'm a part of it, but I got multiple people that are better at instructing than me. Often real family offices with a background in technology. And I got a real executive coming in who implements OpenClaw, Hermes, open weight models, sharing exactly what you do. My curriculum is the best. The best. Go to angelorobles.com. And even that doesn't give it the full breadth. I have a tab for AI Masterclass. And if you join as a member, you get massive benefits, but you get to attend with no upcharge any and all masterclasses I do throughout the year. Now, if you're looking at the screen here, you'll know, Angelo, boy, you like busy summers. You're doing an other one this summer. Yes, a Wednesday, Thursday combo of August 12th and 13th. I don't want you to be left behind. You need to join. So go to angelorobles.com, and that is what gives you the access to the masterclass. If you're not a principal, a rising gen, a family office executive, AKA a single family office, then a common question I get, including in Denver, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm not there yet with liquidity. I'm a partner in a law firm. I'm in the world of finance, whatever. So technically, I can't really qualify to join, but ooh, this looks amazing. Sure, reach out to me. We'll customize something for the one-off masterclasses direct to you. My email is angelo@angelorobles.com. If you're watching on social media, especially LinkedIn or X, it's pretty easy to DM me. And again, email is angelo@angelorobles.com. I am living and breathing with an AI 168 hours a week. Well, I guess I don't sleep then. Like, I am the most active forward person in finance and the family office community specifically in AI, not just broadly from an investing perspective, which was a little more the part of today's conversation, but definitely from a build out and operational perspective. And I know the greatest faculty all around the world, and hosting 2 or 3 AI masterclasses a year. Next year, we'll bring them into Europe and other parts of the US, including likely Palm Beach and LA. But this year, all 3, there will be one in November, are in New York City. Go to angelorobles.com and learn more. This is your moment to step up. You have what this moment rewards, and almost none of you will use it. Most of you will wait, will study it, will ask the committee. You'll move when it's safe. But you can, with no committee, act on conviction and move first. Get the right mindset, compound your knowledge. You have this opportunity right now, and likely within a 3, 5, 10-year window, to greatly expand your capital, your capability, your resource, your connectivity. I think within 10 years and moving out, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. And look at what I mentioned about SpaceX and investing in the future economy. And especially if they merge with Tesla, this is your chance. This is it. My SFO continuity, that's the name of my private intelligence and strategy community, my membership, is really more than that. It's kind of like an operating platform for families building resilient, sovereign, AI-enabled family offices designed to endure and engage your rising generation across those generations. And that, henceforth, the name continuity is exactly that. We have incredible families from around the world, some of the largest individual families and family offices on earth, some of them coming to New York on June 23rd and 24th to be a part of that masterclass. And or you could be a part of that, but definitely the August 12th and 13th. My big forum in New York is mid-September. We just did an incredible dinner with a C-level executive at Harvey AI and grilled him for hours. That was great. We'll then be in Vienna, in the Cayman Islands, in Miami, a lot of Florida, much of the first quarter, back to Miami, then Palm Beach, 4 days in Palm Beach. You get so much. My proprietary books on AI, my book about creating a top 1% family office, Sovereign Risk, Family Office Playbook, proprietary resources, access, videos, connectivity with the incredible peers as investors, allocators, family offices, rising gen. And I'm telling you, the rising gen, this is the organization for you. This is the one that is going to be AI enabled and focused and help you continue the continuity within the family and effectively, as much as this may angst some, redefine the family office moving forward. Everything that I've said in my prior presentations that I shared more publicly, and the one today was a little more investing centric, but we covered a variety of different topics where, heading to the home stretch here, this is your time. So many of you, this is more for when I'm presenting at a program. People can have a little bit of context with my background and some of my contact info. Not as important when I'm doing these digitally and social media. Again, you can reach me at angelorobles.com. I don't even care if you text me, 203-570-2898. I will probably get some inquiries heading into Tuesday and Wednesday in New York at the AI Family Office Masterclass, June 23rd and 24th. But even then, you're not really too late. You could settle back. There's August 12th and 13th. Join beforehand, get access to me, get my 2 proprietary books on AI integration for family offices, by far the 2 best in the industry, at least for family offices, not 1, but 2. And then be really ready for August 12th and 13th. And by chance, you could, unless there's a big issue, and we're going to have even bigger space August 12th and 13th in November, you could attend multiple of these if you're a member. And I think that about wraps us up. Okay, looking at some of the comments that started to come in. Yes, there's. Well, you always get a little bit of hate, don't you? You're not trying hard enough if I don't. The vast majority of you, and by the way, often intelligent in finance, where I speak at these programs and family offices. I've done this digitally and in person all across the US, Vienna, Europe, Mexico, LATAM, the Middle East digitally, and Australia just about a month ago digitally. The vast majority of you, even given my experiences, my tenure, my books, my hopefully some level of credibility, decade after decade in this community, you just have been very, very resilient. My bad. Resistant to AI. A little bit of humbug, nonsense, poppycock, maybe correct long-term directionally, but not at the moment. The incredible resources I use at Anthropic and what it creates in seconds to minutes, what I do in OpenClaw and Hermes, what I'm creating with agents, with harnesses that I use, with outputs, with applications I'm creating, old school vibe coding, with the chats that I have, with how I make them battle each other, with how I use them. You could learn all of this effectively with my book set in 2 days. Then you just have to put in the actions and the work to start to get the outputs that you want. The majority of you, ego, ignorance, fear, normal. I go through those emotions too. It's nothing special about me. You're being resistant to something that is maybe slowly, like the frog in slowly boiling water, going to steamroll you over. And no, that's not going to take 10 years. You might be good for 6 months, a year, maybe a year and a half. Like, I know I'm talking where only 1 or 2% of you, even within the family office world, are going to look to kind of really take some sort of action. You're going to look back, save this video and others in a year and a half, 2 years, and realize that I was right. And it still may not be too late for you, but you missed out on the earlier mindset and compounding of your capability. And how things are going to change so much in the coming years, you're going to miss out on right now, where it's a chance for you to legitimately have a significant edge. What did I say earlier about big companies not really understanding it, overspending in frontier, and internal sabotage? All those things are happening across the world of finance and family offices as well. It doesn't need to be that way. A family office shouldn't need to build a digital twin family office to measure or compete against a more traditional. You don't need to be that sneaky about it. I wouldn't hope. Sometimes in a larger corporation, it does need to be that way. We could do better within the single family office. Someone said, what's the difference between a family office LLC and a regular LLC? Now you're talking about the art and science of family office structure. If you have the sort of resources to justify that, we could debate the AUM. I would have said years ago, $500 million to $1 billion. I'm wrong, partially due to outsourcing, technology, and definitely AI, maybe Deca millionaire, depending on complexity more than capital, could justify it. There could be some tax advantages, and whether you want to do it as a C Corp or an LLC is part of the art and science, that a member would get access to me, some of my content relative to that, and connections to attorneys that could actually finalize and execute. So there is a nuance to the domicile, to the structure. There are advantages to using a C Corp structure, how you structure also with your assets. Is that in a series LLC? Is it onshore? Is it offshore? If it's onshore, what state? What kind of intertwining agreement does the family office have with the assets? Is there a non-bloodline family member as a C-level executive? So see, this gets a little complicated. Whether you're a U.S. citizen, green card holder, or ex the U.S. So it's not something in 1 minute I could easily answer. It's something where you should join, and assuming it's a good fit, that's where some of the knowledge, resources, and access kind of comes into play. I think. Thank you, John. Derek, which one of the frontier labs do I use the most? Broadly, probably Anthropic, and especially the 2.5 days with Fable 5. OpenAI's 5.5 might even be a little better depending on what your needs are comparative to Opus 4.8. Their codex with OpenAI is very good. So those are easily my top two, meaning Anthropic and OpenAI as a frontier model. But all the negative things I said about frontier models, that I don't own it, I feel like I'm renting, vendor lock, government control, use more open weights. That is for sure. Yes, I still use Gemini for certain things. I still use Grok for certain things. I make all four, and then sometimes Perplexity and what they do battle for the best answer. Yes, I'm using more of the browser features, even in a Perplexity comment. There's other aspects that I'm enjoying for Gemini for graphics, like Nano Banano, but OpenAI's gotten much better. Anthropic stinks at that, but Anthropic Claude's design, really impressive. My books go through all of this, by the way, and yes, in case you're wondering, effectively every 3 weeks I have to update them. It's crazy. Like, to think I could even go 2 months and not update it will be incredibly old. And even looking back to the last AI masterclass I hosted, November 3rd and 4th of 2025, it's like 8 months ago? It's completely revamped. And even between June 23rd and 24th and the next one after, August 12th and 13th, it's probably going to be 20% different. It's changing so rapidly. And more interest in the right hardware, the right open weights, what kind of harness to use around them, as we say, and amplifying for application build out, agent and agent swarms. Again, you got to eventually go from being really good at chat, which 99% of you aren't even at that, but from chat to doing things. That's where the real power is. This is an incredible time. I want you all to make a lot of money. Don't have that victimhood mindset. Don't be that socialist, that communist. Oh, the world is against you. Weak people think the world is against them. Strong people don't give a you know what. Begins with an F and ends with a K. If it is. Overcome your challenges. Your skills have utility. Put in the work, develop your skill set, and just get out there. Now's the time to be an entrepreneur. Now is it. Family offices, you could also do so much more, so much more. Well, everyone, I'm Angelo Robles. You can learn more at angelorobles.com. Some of you that are already members, I may see you, I guess, June 23rd and 24th in just a couple of days. And we're going to do more dinners this summer, a breakfast. I got the masterclass again, AI masterclass, August 12th and 13th. And then we're heading into our kind of late summer, early fall, mid-September forum in New York. There is a lot going on. Everyone, I got a lot of things to do. It's a weekend. It's beautiful outside. I'm going to put in a 3-mile walk. Got to go buy a new fire pit. Yes, John, I am going to light up a cigar, but hopefully if I could get an hour to an hour and a half in exercise, it's offsetting that one bad habit that I do have. I am internally writing another book, so that's taking some time, and did get invited to speak in Europe in kind of the early fall, and I want to just see if I could make that make sense and host some roundtables and lunches while I'm there, a combo of Vienna and London. So, yeah. One of you basically just said, like, Angelo, why don't you, effectively what he said is, you're an old guy at 60 years old, enjoy the summer, relax. Like, I enjoy putting in the grind. I come from a very humble background. I always feel, maybe as a libertarian, why I became that way, that what could be taken from me, what could change. You never have enough. I guess I'm a little bit type A. And yes, as someone commented, I can get a little loud, I guess you could say sometimes. All things I'm trying to get better at. I'm an imperfect person. I got to go read some Marcus Aurelius and get better, Seneca, etc. You're correct. So I do enjoy my time in what I do. I do enjoy family and commitment and friends and community. But a little bit like Sergey Brin, not that I'm comparing myself to Sergey, going back to Google, this is it. This is the time. We're living through such a scary yet intriguing time in history that no, I can't take my foot off the pedal. I do put in the grind to some degree with some freedoms 7 days a week. And I'm looking around in the family office world. Who else is talking about the geopolitical issues, about sovereign risk? Who's going out on a limb? Who's talking about the rise of socialism and communism and how horrific that is? Who's talking about AI and spending money and implementing it within the family office world? I'm often just very disappointed. The old guard, which I guess I used to be a part of, hangs onto the past so strongly and will just get destroyed by what's coming, and may not even know it's coming, like I hinted at for a variety of analogies, including the frog in boiling water. I don't need to be liked or loved. It's probably just not part of who I am. I'm not a hyper likable person. I get that. I'm extremely dedicated to what I do. I'm a creative thinker. I make mistakes. I share them, at least with my members, and things that I could do to help them be better, and preferably not linear, exponential. And right now is that time. Everyone, I got things to do and things to build, as do you. Hopefully this is somewhat inspiring. I have lots of thoughts around the things that I said that will play out this summer when we do even deeper dives into the economy, SpaceX, Anthropic, and so much else happening within the community, including more than just the investing end, the geopolitical, the macroeconomic, and the operational. And we do want to engage the rising generation in the families. And even just, I don't care what you do, how about your rising generation? Do you want them to be the kind of person that's walking out of the Eric Schmidts and other commencement speakers in high schools or universities when the mention of AI You want to have that weak mindset or have them to have that? No, you don't. Again, weak people think the world is against them. Strong people don't care if it is. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.